is mindset. It's about conditioning the mind, body, and spirit. It takes practice, commitment, vision, goal setting, determination, sharp focus, respect, and discipline. Once you learn it, you can apply it to all aspects of your life. The warrior's mindset prepares you for the largest competition ever, the competition against self.
My name is Willie the Bam Johnson. My nickname is Bam. That means better attitude make, because wherever we go, we got to make the world a better place. So today we talking about beating the odds. I know we talked about the world titles, the movies, everything you could possibly imagine having them all show us I have achieved. But that's a small element of what life really was for me. I mean, the things that really defined me, honestly, was my struggles. I had to fight so hard to beat the odds. I grew up in the city of Baltimore, in the projects called Lafayette Projects, one of the most violent communities in this city, if not the world. Came from a good family background, but one of the things that really helped me so much, even with having a great family, but having a bad community, one of the things that helped me so much at the age of 6 years old, I decided to make a commitment to be like Bruce Lee. I went to the movie theater. And all the times that I was, growing up, my mom would never let me go anywhere. She would never let nobody take me to the playground or anything. But one day, she let me go to a theater to see Bruce Lee. The name of the movie was called Chinese Connection. At 6 years old, I made a commitment that I was going to be just like Bruce Lee. I began to write it down. I began to steal magazines, steal books. I began to have pictures all on my wall. I would write out papers and say, I'm going to be like Bruce Lee, put it on my wall. All the things that I realized as I got older is what Tony Robbins and great motivational speakers talk about. Have a vision, have a goal. I held on to that goal and continued to push and strive and believe. And believe it or not, at the age of 17 years old, I got on a bus, went to Madison Square Garden. Nobody knew where I was going. And I won the All-American Championships. My mom, my dad, nobody knew where I was at. I got on a bus all by myself because I wanted something more. I wanted to beat the odds. And at 17, I went to the Madison Square Garden, won first place in my first ever tournament, All-American Championships. After that, I was hooked. I used to write letters at 17 years old to major sponsors. People say, man, the spelling is incorrect. What are you doing? Nobody's going to listen to that. Guess what? I got 7-Eleven, McDonald's, and all these people to sponsor me at 17 years old. Now, all I asked for was enough money to get on a bus for 3 days to go to a karate tournament to get 8th place. 8th place, sometimes 9th place. I'll be on a bus for 3 days, get off, run to the tournament, compete, get 8th place, get back on the tournament, come back home because I couldn't afford a hotel room. But I kept on showing up. I wanted to beat the odds. I did not want to be like nobody that was in my community of Baltimore City. I didn't want to be like nobody in my family. I wanted something more. And one day, after going to all these tournaments, winning, I got a chance to go to mainland China, one of the first blacks that ever traveled to mainland China in 1985. All expense paid trip. How in the world does that happen to a kid? How did that even happen? There's no way I thought that was going to happen. But it happened. I went there, and when I came back home, I began to win every tournament that you can possibly think of. So I began to go into that path of beating those odds, overcoming the obstacles. But yet at the same time, because I wasn't totally committed to what I wanted, that documentary talks about it. And a lot of times people don't understand when I say this, but the greatest thing that ever happened to me was to be incarcerated. The greatest thing that ever happened to me was being incarcerated. All these times I was running around trying to please people and be like everybody else and do what everybody wanted me to do, but I never got a chance to do what I needed to do, to my own self be true. I never got a chance to know me, love me, and be okay with me and become a friend with me. And when I went into that place, locked up for 23 hours and let out for one, in 1989, I dropped on my hands and knees and I begged God if he would give me another chance to use martial arts to change the world, I would never abandon him ever again. That was well over 30 years ago. See, I trust in God. I don't believe in God. That's the difference. I surrender my whole life to God. I walk in the old communities, the good communities. I don't care where I go, I talk about God. I'm going to pray to him. I'm going to surrender to him. When I go to my dojo, I talk about God. Every day I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning. The first thing I do is ask God, let your will be done, not mine. I write to God 7 times saying, thank you, God, 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 thank you, God. Let your will be done. When I come to any struggle in life, any encounter, any obstacle, because of what happens, I don't react angry anymore. I react in a manner that makes me take a deep breath, walk away, and figure out how I contribute to that problem. And I ask God to help me change and make it better. I destroyed the world because I didn't know where I was going. I will never, ever do that ever again. So when you see my kids and my wife, that's by the grace of God. For me to stand up right here is by the grace of God. I should have been dead. I'll be 60 years old next year. Whew. Sometimes I'm talking to my son. I said, man, I never prepared what I would do at 60. Everybody always told me I wouldn't make it past 18. That's what they told me. But I made it past that. And now I'll be 60 years old. And that was all because I made that commitment in jail. I made that commitment to say, God, let your will be done. And every day I would wake up, I would write this book. See this book right here? When this book was published, they said, hey, we want to do a book on you. I said, well, I already have a book. I wrote this in jail. Every day I wake up, and here's the thing I want to say. The reason why it's so powerful for every tough and bad person in the world, I was locked up in a max security prison, never got in one fight and practice martial arts every day. Wherever they talked about God at, guess where I was at? I was there. I don't care if you was Muslim, Christian, I don't care what you was. You talking about God, I want God. I don't care nothing about what you talking about. I need to come close to my creator. I never got in one fight. Nobody never said one bad thing to me. Nobody never did anything bad to me. As a matter of fact, I was offered a job in jail on my release because they couldn't believe that God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. God's still doing for me what I can't do for myself. Me standing up here right now, I should not be here. But God is doing this. You know what? So I continue to wake up every morning. I continue to tell every kid, anybody that walks through our doors, once again, I might be I've probably got one of the highest ranks of martial arts. I done been in any type of fights. I done been in all the bad things you can happen in the inner city. Anybody that want to say they tough and they bad and whatever, guess what? Been there, done that, seen that. But here's the one thing I'm going to say. The greatest thing that I know inside my heart and soul is about me being able to go out and make the world a better place and show love to everybody that I encounter. And I'll say this to everybody, this is all the younger people that's in class. I got a son that's 38 years, he's 38 years old. He ain't never used to listen to anything I do. Used to tell him, he used to be on a TV show with me. And I used to sit down and tell him, I said, you know what, every time people came to talk to me, I would laugh, I would fall asleep, I wouldn't listen. I was like, oh yeah, all right. I wouldn't take notes. Just like a lot of, this is like real talk to everybody, right? The younger ones right now, because I was right there. Wouldn't listen. Yeah, I heard them. They ain't really saying much. When I got locked up, it was a group called Who Are You? And a guy told me, he said, you know what? You could do whatever you want to do. The problem is when people stop helping you, that's the bad thing that happens in the world. Right now, everybody's trying to help you. Everybody's trying to talk to you. I don't care who you are. Remember, I done worked from Billy Blanks, Wesley Snipes, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee's daughter. My daughter's in Black Panther, Women King. I got students in Spy Kids. You name it. Ellen DeGenerate, the whole show. One of our black belts was the producer of the show for all those years that it was on TV. And, so you'd have been to the highest level, you'd have been to the lowest level. And the one thing I still remember is always treat people the way you want to be treated. Martial arts begins and ends with respect. Regardless of what goes on in the world, it begins and ends with respect. So once I understood that, I can overcome any obstacle. Because remember, if I tell you I went to jail and I got in trouble, everybody counted me out. Not even my family wanted me back home. Nobody. Not even my sister. Nobody wanted me to come back. And when I came home, everybody said, stop dreaming. Why are you dreaming? That dream ain't gonna never come true. Well, I got a dojo that's been open for well over 30 years now, that I started with $20 in my own business. $20. Been open for over 30 years, and it's probably one of the most successful karate schools on the planet. I get a chance to sit among so many people that make decisions on what martial arts can do in the world, what we can do to change the world, and how we can show other people to make money. Hey, as a matter of fact, my 9-year-old son works at our dojo. He gets a paycheck at 9 years old. So all 6 of our kids, every last one of them, since they've been born, they learned how to work in the dojo. My son Messiah, he's like the brains of the whole operation, he can sit there on the telephone and do the whole school wherever he's at. So when I think about saying that God did for me what I could not do for myself, the crazy thing about it, when you go through what I went through, there's no way you're supposed to have a business. There's no way I should be here talking. There's no way I should be able to be teaching policemen when I got locked up for fighting a police. Now listen to me. And this, don't take this wrong. It's like anybody, my kids even know this. Like, let's talk. You want to be a man? Let's talk. Let's talk about this. For fighting a police, breaking their finger, all this stuff, and now their kids come to me to teach them. And you ain't gonna tell me there ain't no God. Look at that. Look at that. Now when we talk about those obstacles, they gonna come all our way. Don't think that even though my story is so gritty, I made that choice. My parents ain't raised me that way. I made that choice. I made a choice to be a drug dealer. I made a choice to do all that stuff. I created those obstacles myself. My parents taught me everything I teach in martial arts. When I say sir, say ma'am, all that comes from my mom and my dad. My dad always told me jail was no place for a black man to go to because he spent well over 30 years in there. So he always used to take me there. He said, don't ever go there. But I was hard-headed, so I ended up going there. I never been back since then, well over 30 years. So we all going to encounter obstacles. My daughter, who's in Hollywood, her obstacles might not be like mine. I remember one time we had a disagreement, me and my daughter, because she was doing something, and we had a real falling out. And I was like, whoa, man, I don't think she's really getting what I'm saying. So I wrote another book on my life story. The story was so gritty about things that I went through and things that I did. I think that what I was telling her, she didn't need a boyfriend. That's what I was telling her. I was telling her, until you to reach all your goals, I don't think you need to have a boyfriend. And even still this day, my daughter's 26 years old. I'm still ain't ready for her to bring some guy to our table and sit down and eat Thanksgiving. And your dad know what that's like. I said, well, you don't need to focus on that. I need you to focus on self-love. Go out there and achieve all your goals and do what you want to do. And that's how she's been able to be so successful and one of the most sought after black females in Hollywood as a stunt person. But when I let her write my story, she came back to me one night and she said, I understand, Dad. See, because I was that guy who I told I didn't want her to meet. Everything that I tell every kid that I say to you, don't be, when I say don't listen, when I say listen to the people that come in and talk to you, don't take for granted what they're saying to you. One thing that I learned is whenever somebody talk to me, I always get in the front of the line, like the preacher was saying, because I need the raw and uncut. I don't need the cut. I need the raw. I need the raw. I don't need nothing watered down. I need the raw. I need the raw truth. Because one day, wherever we go, just like I teach my kids and I teach our students, in the dojo, I might be teaching you, I might be showing you all these things. But one day when the obstacle comes, when that moment comes, you can't call me. There's nobody going to be there that's going to be able to help you. You're going to have to learn how to help yourself. So you got to pull inside yourself. You got to figure out what your principles are going to be that's going to help you be able to stand up. For me, what those principles were called, they became the warrior's mindset. I was scheduled to do a speaking tour with Damon John Ray Rice and a couple other people all over the country to go back and talk to youth about becoming young entrepreneurs. And I was doing the martial arts part. And he said, man, I'm really studying this story that you talking about in your life. Seems like you had to have a warrior mindset to get through those adversities, right? I guess if that's what you call it. So to me, what I want to leave everybody with is 3 principles. There's really 12 principles of the warrior's mindset. In business today, most entrepreneurs, we all have a journal. You might have your phone, but we all have a journal. And a lot of times people write books, they tell you their story, and then they leave a section in there for you to write your interpretation of what that means to you. Okay, an old man, a real wealthy old man, and one of my mentors used to always say, whenever you get confused in business or even in class, pick up the pen and take a piece of paper and begin to write out your thoughts and don't think about it. And then when you calm down, come back and look at those thoughts, you're going to probably find out the answers on what you can do to change that situation. So the warrior's mindset, the first one is honesty. The thing I had to do when I first got locked up was be honest with myself. I put myself here. Can't nobody else get me out here but me. All my life I've been lying. I've been trying to please people. Really what I was doing, I was really trying to become a drug dealer so I can get my mom out the projects. That's what I was trying to do. For all the things I seen my mom on welfare and seeing her going through what she had to go through, I wanted to be a man at the age of 16 to get off of welfare and change her life. But I didn't realize when my mom died, my sister told me, Mommy hated you. She didn't want you to be a drug dealer. So when my mom died, when my mom died in my arms, one thing she said to me, she said, "Good, be good, Bam Bam, be good." That's all she wanted me to do was be good. And I didn't realize that what I was doing for my mom, that was the wrong thing. So I had to get honest about that. And I had to write about it. And it was painful. Because the first person I had to get honest with is myself and God, not nobody else. And if you think about anything, and I tell my kids that whenever you're going through something, go to God, you and God talk about it. Once you had that conversation, then I'm open to hear what you have to say. I'm not going to criticize anything that you're talking about, but I'm going to listen. So I had to learn how to be honest with God. And then the second thing I had to do was be open to other people that was coming from that same energy, that God base, that positivity. And I had to be open for criticism. A guy told me that any man that's locked up is less than a man, so you shouldn't be here. So if you call yourself a man or father, you shouldn't be in jail. You should be able to take care of your son. That's what he told me. That was painful. Boom! But I sat there and I listened because I was open to it. And the third one was willingness. That's called faith. I had to be willing to apply all the things I discovered in my level of honesty and what I discovered in open-mindedness, and I had to go out and attack the world and say, hey, I'm going to go out on faith. Faith without work is dead. So here's the crazy thing. When I came home from incarceration with $20 in a dream, because I used to work every day for $1 a day. That's how much they paid you in jail for 8 hours. So I get paid $1 a day. So in a month time, I got $30 for 30 days. When I came home, I had $20. And I knew, because in jail, I had already planned out my goals. I planned out the dojo that I teach today, already wrote it out and mapped it out and all those things when I was incarcerated. So that idle time that we all had, all of you guys right now, nothing is a waste of time. Nothing is a waste of time. The one thing that you cannot get back is your time. The most valuable thing we all have in the world is time. Once you understand that, you get paid for your time. You don't get paid for your kicks and your punches and all this other stuff. You get paid for the value that you deliver within that time period. So once that time is gone, you never get that time back. So when I spent that time, here's the crazy thing, and you shouldn't have to get through the struggle like I went through to plan out what type of wife do you want? What type of job do you want? What type of life do you want? How do you want to retire? What type of business do you want? Write all those things out. Every morning I wake up, I have a vision board. I look right at my vision board. Anybody that follow my Instagram or my Facebook page, you see me and my wife work out and we pretty crazy. But nobody knows that when I'm working out, I have a set of earphones that's telling me my 10-year plan in my ears. It's me telling me my 10-year plan. Wherever I go, when I'm in my car, I will never listen to the radio. I will always listen to motivational tapes. A wise man once told me you can get a college education, not just in these rooms, but also in your car with a CD or with an Audible set a series of study tapes on what subject matter you're trying to improve upon in business. So with all those things at hand, when I came home, first thing I did was figure out what can I do to get the license, to get all what I needed to get my business started. And then I went back and I went and got custody of my son. And that was well over 30 years ago. So if I can overcome all those obstacles, which are so much devastating than what you guys are probably facing every day, and think about it, we talk about mental health right now. Can you imagine how I felt locked down in a jail cell? But I was able to meditate, and I was able to talk and communicate to other people, and it helped me realize that I had to learn how to love myself. So I know if I can do that, you guys can do that. And if I left you with anything, if I leave you with those 3 principles, which is honesty. Every day you wake up in the morning, that's how we start our day, being honest. The second one, being open-minded. And the third one is being willing. Hope you're enjoying the show. I want to tell you about something that's dear to my heart. My book, The Warrior's Mindset Daily Devotions. Pick up your copy by hitting the link below. Remember, if your principles are negotiable, you don't have principles. Be the warrior from the inside out. We got one of my heroes, my main man, Mr. Michael John White. You know, I always talk to y'all about him. I mean, he done had a great success with Black Dynamite out there right now. I know everybody done heard about it, done seen it written up in all the magazines, so forth, giving it great ratings, bringing it right back to how the martial arts used to be back in the 70s. Mr. Mike, tell him, I mean, what was it like working on Black Dynamite?
Well, I mean, it was a labor of love because, I mean, I wrote the movie, got it produced, starred in it clearly. And so, I mean, it was a lot of fun, man, because, I hired my friends, and that genre meant so much to me. I know it has been with you as well. It was a genre that we take great pride in because it finally showed African Americans in a fashion that was that was worthy, worthy fashion. It was not we weren't servants and maids and all that type of stuff. Right. We were the heroes, we had strong alpha males as role models. Right. And so, I wanted to pay homage to that, that alpha male that I grew up, trying to be.
It's interesting because as you talk, and I'm smiling, because I remember the Muscle and Fitness, man, I guess it was about your workout, and then it was leading into the movie. They had a shot of you when you was a little kid. Back in the day when you was practicing martial arts, skipping the road with your ponies and all that.
Right.
So now coming up in the 70s and coming from a Kung Fu movie and walking through New York and feeling the vibe of the street and I know you done made the nunchakus and all that stuff. What was that culture like? I mean, even being a part of a dojo. I mean, because people look, it's like some reason they look like they think that life never existed. Where there was no dojos in the inner cities. There was no good instructors in the inner city. What was that culture like for you?
Well, see, one thing is I explained to a lot of people that the martial arts came by way of the inner city. Okay. I mean, it came from the Orient.
Yes.
And it was came to this country by way of GIs. Soldiers who were in Korea, Okinawa, Japan, who learned the art and brought it back here, right? And so where they teach it? So not in the suburbs. They taught it in the ghettos. You couldn't teach true martial arts anywhere else. It wasn't a business. It's a business now. You know what I mean? It wasn't a business back in the day. And we grew up seeing ghetto martial art warriors. Because, I mean, literally, you could not have a business in the suburbs and teach martial arts the way it was taught back then in Beverly Hills. No, you had to go to the projects, and every great instructor, whether it be the pioneers, the Peter Urbans, all these. That's why he taught people that was, straight up ghetto, and that was the, it appealed to the real fighter, the real downtrodden, because it was developed for downtrodden people who had to fight against oppression. So,
Right.
you know, you ain't gonna teach that wasn't taught in no rich folks.
And what's so wild, I mean, I think the one thing that I get, even in one of your interviews when you talked about after a sparring class, you had to get a bruise, you had to get a busted lip or a fractured rib because you didn't learn anything. But not just did that injury to me, not just did that injury like make you come back, so you wouldn't get hit in the rib again the next time. You probably get hit in the eye the next time. But the thing it was building was character that made us be stronger, the men that we are today. I mean, would you agree?
Well, absolutely. It's. I mean, there's so much. I mean, we understand the business of it and the evolution of it. But when you had to train your knuckles, when you had to, and when you, by people with trained knuckles, you know, you had to achieve a black belt, you had to have some serious intestinal fortitude.
Yeah.
It wasn't no cakewalk, you know. And so you've had some teeth knocked out, and that was just par for the course. You know, at the time, you didn't have nothing else to compare it to. I remember the advent of wearing pads. It was so foreign to, like, who's this to protect? You know what I mean? Well, I condition my knuckles and my knees and my shit on a macchiato board for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you have, you know, people taping up and they covering up in pads and stuff like that, that whole element changed. You know, it's almost like you like fighting a war with BB guns. You know what I mean?
I know.
So, you know, of course, that changed a whole lot in the fighting, in the you know, the whole spirit, you know, and then almost everybody can get that black.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't run into that wall, that thing that says, well, why am I doing this? You have to overcome, walk through that fire.
Yeah.
You know, you can forge yourself beyond, you know, what we really knew where we at. But that was such a gift to us. Yeah, it was such a gift to us because nothing compares to that.
Yeah.